What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is September 25th, 2025. 25 of 25. Pretty cool. And today, we're going to talk about some volleyball. Today, we are going to break down some dramatic quarterfinals at the 2025 FIVB Men's Volleyball World Championships. And oh my, some of you may be sick and tired of seeing me again for the second time today, as we did the watch along this morning for what was the best match of the summer, USA versus Bulgaria. We will be talking about that later, but we're going to be going over all four of the quarterfinals that we just saw over the past couple of days, and we're going to get you ready for the semifinals on Saturday. It has been an incredible run. We've already got a whole bunch of Bulgarians in the chat. Welcome. You're welcome to gloat. Go for it, right? You guys are now on to the semifinals. Okay, it was an absolutely incredible match, but we're gonna talk about these things in chronological order. We're gonna go from the first match, Belgium versus Italy, to the last one, USA versus Bulgaria. And to me, there was two definitive themes for these semifinals. The first one on day one was domination, right? Everyone has known essentially since since the schedule and format has come out and the pools, that everyone has picked this one semifinal of being a potential Italy-Poland semifinal, and that's exactly what we got. The first set of quarterfinals was absolute domination by the two best teams in the world. That's the only way to say that. And then today, on the other side of the bracket, the theme was belief. The theme was believing in yourself, believing in your team, believing when you are down. It was an incredible day. Yesterday, bit of a dull day, right? I didn't even wake up for Italy-Belgium. That's not entirely true. I did wake up briefly. I guess it was in the second set. I looked on Flash Score, saw the first set was 25-13. Italy was up 14-10. I went back to sleep. Today, a little bit different. Today, we knew that this one was going to be a big one with Bulgaria versus the USA. And big shout out to my buddy G Volley on Instagram. If you're a big Canadian fan, you probably already know who he is. But if you don't, make sure you go give him a follow. And, I saw that he posted the result from Czechia, Iran this morning. And then I messaged him, and he didn't message me back for a while later. And he says, I missed it. I woke up a little bit in the second set, saw that the U.S. had won the second and they were cruising in the third, and then I went back to sleep. And that's really too bad because he missed one of the best games. No, the best game of the summer. No doubt about it. But obviously, we're not going to talk about that one. First and foremost, we are going to talk about this first match right here. And as I said, the first match was, these first two matches were absolute domination, right? The two top teams in the world going up against teams that, not saying they didn't deserve to be there, but just weren't quite at that level, weren't ready for that level. And especially in Italy's case, taking on Belgium, there was a little bit more to play for there too. If you remember back to the group stage, Belgium did upset Italy in the group stage with a big 3-2 win, which is the previous best game of the tournament. And this one was absolute domination up and down this match. I mean, it wasn't even close. When you look at the head-to-head stats in this matchup, it was a little bit scary. Italy outblocked and outserved Belgium all day long. Their serving just caused absolute havoc on Belgium serve receive. Belgium serve receive was kept to only 30% positive and 19% perfect in this match. And I thought that they're going to go after kind of the weak link and Landshot and Sepe Roti. Roti didn't start. We'll touch on that just in a little bit. Instead, they just went after Sam Daru, right? It seemed like they were kind of spraying around, looking to see where they're going to be able to get their points and find success. And Romano really showed the way with that scoring run to create that spread in the first set. And they just started piling in on Sam Daru, really, really making life difficult for him. But Italy dominated in every single phase of the match, with Belgium not being able to be on the net and in system. And I mean, they don't they're not necessarily known for their middle play at all, but it was completely non-existent. And then with that, they really started to pour it on and really made life difficult for Daru and Riegers in this one. It was like Italy's execution was Mr. Clean approved. Like, that's the only way I can put it. They left nothing to chance. They only made 9 errors in the entirety of the match. And Belgium made 11 attack errors and 13 serving errors. So for a total of 24 errors altogether, while Italy was just squeaky clean the entire time. And while they were, dominating in their serve and block game, on the defensive side, just consistently putting Belgium in tough, stressful situations, they were also squeaky clean offensively too, hitting a 48% with a 44% efficiency as a team. And now, I really like their side out was smooth as butter. And in the first, you could just tell that Gianelli was just spreading everyone around, right? The first set, every single player, including Gianelli, scored at least 2. And it was just spread out so far. It was just continuously domination by Italy, right? They would serve and they would put Belgium in a tough place. They would get served at and they would immediately side out time and time again. I'd love for us to be able to keep side out stats in volleyball, but I guess that's way too much when we can't even keep proper dig stats or assist stats or anything like that. I found that in their pool play match against Belgium, Italy kind of sat back and let the game come to them. And maybe they were a little bit surprised by how aggressive Belgium came out. But this time, it was completely different. They were really imposing their game on Belgium right from the beginning. And they really left no opening for Belgium to try to overwhelm them at all. Like, Belgium just had no air on this one to get the fire going, no oxygen whatsoever. And Italy, right from the get-go, showed that 3 aces, 3 blocks in the first set. And then they just continued going on it, right? As I said, their side-out game was so good, and they spread out that offense so nicely. Bottolo was 10 for 23. Micheletto was 7 for 16. Romano, who maybe had a bit of a lesser game and only 16, but that's to be expected from him because he's a big game player. And, we see that he doesn't really get, if there's a game that he doesn't really need to get up to, he doesn't, right? And then Russo, I thought Russo was their absolute, he led them in scoring. He had a team high 12 points, 6 for 8 in attack, 4 blocks and 2 aces, including that walk-off ace to finish the match. Roberto Russo was absolutely outstanding. And you know what? I don't even know if there's that much to talk about on Italy's side throughout this match. But I do want to touch on Belgium's side. There was a few things. I was really confused as to what Emanuele Zanini was doing with Belgium's lineup right from the get-go. In the last match, we saw Sepe Rotti get subbed out in place of Matisse Desmet. But Rotti was a huge part of that win for Belgium when they beat Italy in pool play. And I kind of expected Emanuele Zanini to go back to Sepe Rotti to start this match, but he didn't. Instead, he went to Matisse Desmet. Desmet was their best player in the first set, right? He had the most points. He was 4 for 11 in attacking, which was the most points for Belgium. And then he was also their best serve receiver, no doubt about it, right? He was passing 71% and 57%, 71% positive and 57% perfect on 7 targets. He was their best player, and he was the only player who had a positive plus-minus after set 1. Right? Now, as I said, they were really targeting Daru on serve receive, but Desmet did a good job at kind of getting in there and passing the ball well. But then Zanini took him off. He took him off after he was their best player in set number 1. He started Rotti in set number 2, and now Rotti is coming off the bench cold. And, it was a tough situation for him to be able to take advantage of that situation. He was 1 for 9 in attack, hitting 11% with a minus 11% efficiency. And then he passed 14% positive and 0% perfect on 7 targets and got aced once in the second set. And then he went back to Desmet for set number 3, and he had no rhythm at that point. And serve receive is a rhythm skill, right? You need to be in there and to be feeling it. And he wasn't getting that. He also passed 14% positive, 0% perfect on 7 targets. And it was clear that he just didn't have that rhythm and was only 2 for 3 in attack. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, Italy just made it so tough for Belgium's best players to score and to just absolutely do anything. They were putting out any fire that was happening, and Italy established their level early and then locked it in cruise control. You know, it was like they were an Autobahn. They went up to 150 kilometers per hour. I don't know what that is in freedom units. And then just locked it in on cruise control, and there was no traffic. You know, zoom. Absolutely all the way. Riegers with his worst match of the tournament by far, 13 for 30, hitting a 43% positive, but only a 20% efficiency. Not the best for him. And Giroud was the same. He was 10 for 24, hitting a 42% with a 25% efficiency with one ace. And I mean, the reality is that yeah, this was just an absolute domination. I kind of called for it. It's really tough to beat a team twice in the same tournament, and especially for a team like Italy, who, you know, unless they're stressed, like their execution, like Italy at 70% is better than the majority of the world at, you know, 90-95%. And usually they can just get by with that. That wasn't the case in group play, but this one was a much different story here in the quarterfinals. And yeah, Italy was just much better, absolutely dominant, and they booked their ticket to the semifinals fairly easily. Now, as we move on, as did Poland. And this one was a little bit of a different story, mostly because we had found out right before the match that Czechia lost one of their best players in Efe Mandaracha, who was out with a quad injury. And it's on the same leg that he's gotten ACL surgeries twice. So, you know, I was doing the watch along with Berkay from the Discord, and it just really wasn't, it wasn't the matchup that we thought it was going to be. I think that Poland right now has the best offense that we're seeing. Their offense was absolutely cooking. They hit 62% as a team with a 56% efficiency, which is absolutely gross. And just like Italy, they're just spreading that ball around. They give everyone some touches. I really think that Komenda is maybe one of the most underrated setters in the world, because he's not doing anything flashy. He's just going out and setting a really good game and delivering really good balls, because once again, hitting 62% with a 56% efficiency as a team, but they're passing 44% positive, only 9% perfect. So they're only in system 9% of the time on serve receive, and yet they only made 2 unforced errors as a team and only got blocked twice as a team. So the reality is that like Poland was just out there for blood. It doesn't matter if they're passing off the net. They know and have so much confidence in their attackers. It doesn't matter. We're just going to go to that high ball offense, and we're going to give the ball to the outside. It was really dominant play for Poland in this one. As I said, they just spread that ball around. Kokonowski, who I thought was their best player, 7 for 8 in attack, hitting an 88% efficiency with 3 blocks and 3 aces. He was absolutely crazy. And then also Leon was pretty good. He was 9 for 18. Sorry, I should put up the stats here just for you guys to see. As you see, the blocking on Poland's side, the serving on Poland's side, and the attack percentage was just way too dominant for Czechia in this one. Leon, 13 points, tied for the team high. He was pretty good offensively, 9 for 18. He had 3 blocks and an ace in this one, which was really good all around. And then I continue to think that Kamil Semeniuk, you know, he probably won't win MVP, as certain people in the Discord want him to, but I really think that he's been one of their best and most consistent players. Offensively, you know, he wasn't getting as many opportunities. He was 8 for 14, but he was also their best passer. He was passing a 71% positive with a 21% perfect on 14 targets. So it was clear that other teams were going after Leon, Pivchak. Semeniuk has just been rock solid down the middle for Poland. And then, as I said, Norbert Huber, also really good. He got a block and an ace, and then was 7 for 9 down the middle. So up and down the lineup, no matter where you look, such good efficiency for Poland here. And they've just been playing really, really well. And now on the Turkish side, it was a little tough because you're going to bring in Gökçen, who, is Mandaracha's cousin, as Berkay told us, and did look pretty good, but it just wasn't the same. And as Berkay is saying in the chat, there's just like Turkey's serves really let them down. They missed 15 serves in a 3-set match. Gökçen led the way with 3, as did Marko Matic. And you know what? I thought the middles played decently well. Matic was 4 for 5 out there, but there was just such a difficulty for Turkey to score because they were just keying in on Addis Lugumja. And Lugumja has been pretty good throughout this tournament, but he was 12 for 21 in attacking this one, hit at 57%, which isn't too bad, with a 33% efficiency. Not terrible all in all, but they just really weren't able to put Poland under stress at any point throughout this match. They really, really struggled to score on side out. And then, for a team that is on paper the most physical and biggest team in the World Championships, they really struggled to stop Poland's offense. Only 2 blocks and 6 positive block touches. It was an unreal job by Poland to just make Turkey look really, really average. Now, if Mandaracha had been there, I think it might have helped Turkey maybe win 1 set, right? They would have had a little bit more confidence coming in from the beginning, but I honestly don't think it would have changed that much. Even Berkay, who, is an absolute Turkish homer, was saying in his pregame preview, which you should go check out his Substack. It's linked in the Discord, that, it was a long shot for Turkey to win this one. But overall, I think, both in Belgium and Turkey's case, the fact that they're even here in the quarterfinals is so big. This was the best result ever for Turkey in the men's side of the World Championships. I mean, double best result ever for Turkey, with the men finishing in the quarterfinals in the top 8 and the women finishing in the finals. But that obviously sets up the semifinal that everyone was expecting, the semifinal that everyone wants, the replay of so many epic finals, including, this year's VNL wasn't too much of an epic final, was a bit of a beatdown. However, I still think that this is what everyone wants to see. Actually, I know. I'm not even going to say I think it is. But overall, congratulations to Poland. Great job, Turkey, to get here. And we are moving on to another exciting match. And from domination, I go to belief. Because Czechia is a team that, isn't in the VNL. Hasn't really been relevant in forever. They haven't made a semifinal since 1970. Oddly enough, in Bulgaria. And this is a team that, on paper, shouldn't have even made it out of their pool. In one of the toughest pools, playing along 3 VNL teams in Brazil, Serbia, and China. And they went 2-1 in their pool, beating Serbia in that first match, beating China as well, losing to Brazil. And we all know what happened there. We don't need to break it down. But this Czechia team was, like, I found myself, even watching back and knowing what had happened this morning, I found myself cheering for them at a point. They've done a really, really good job at taking care of their opportunities. Now, I think there's obviously 2 things for this Czech team. Not just 2 things, but a few. We'll start by breaking down this match a little bit more, because the reality is that Iran, I thought, really, really controlled this match for the majority of 2 sets, right? Even if like in both sets, it was kind of the same thing in the first and the second, where, it was kind of point for point. And then Iran would serve really well and put themselves away in the first and be able to create that gap. And the same thing was starting to happen in the second, right? Iran was up 22-20. Poria went back and served an absolute bomb of a serve. It was an overpass, and this was the turning point. And you could sense, like, Czechia's energy before this play and after this play was completely different, right? Because overpass ball, Iran is ready to go up 23-20, and Morteza puts it out. And, I'll talk about Morteza in a second and what that did to him throughout this match, and just my overall outlook on Czechia and Iran in general. But that changed completely because it could have been 23-20. Iran could have been up 2-0, and instead it went to 22-21. And then the very next play, Marek Shotola, who was subbed in for the left side. What's his name again? Sorry, I should know this one off the top of my head, but I didn't. Bartunek, their left side, Bartunek. He went in there, was blocking on the right side, and got an absolutely massive clamp to tie the game up at 22-22. And then Shotola goes back to serve and serves the ace as they're all tied up at 24-24 to give Czechia the lead, 25-24, which they eventually turned into a 27-25 set win as Bartunek went back to serve the ace. Like two of their 5 aces came right in the clutch at the end of that second set. And that just completely changed the outlook of the match. It completely deflated Iran, and it brought so much belief to Czechia. And it really just turned things around altogether in a way that I honestly couldn't believe, even though I already knew the result. It was incredible. And then at that point, they just started believing in themselves and relying on their system. You know, I thought that Zajcek down the middle was like phenomenal. Like, he got his shots when he wanted to. He was 3 for 3 in attack and had 4 blocks and 4 positive touches. But realistically, it all comes down to their two-headed monster. And I think, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on too, what makes Czechia so good is that there's a clear hierarchy within this team of, you know, who are their go-to guys and then who are the role players. And it's very, very clear that you have Patrick Indra, who's now proven that he can be one of the most elite scorers in the world. He did it again, 22 points. Oh, I forgot to switch to the stats here for this one, but Indra had 22 points. 20 for 29, hitting a 69% with 59% efficiency, and also got 2 aces. He does such a good job at just challenging the block. He's always swinging for hands. He's always swinging for angles, and he has such a weird window because he's that long lefty that can hit outside of his body, hit outside of his window, and just create different angles out there. And I don't think, like, there's not really anyone like him in volleyball to be able to shut him down. The only person I can think of is Micheletto, and Micheletto is hitting, you know, a left side ball, so it's a different trajectory, whereas Indra is getting just a straight up and down ball. So I think he was huge. And then also Lucas Vashina. Vashina was injured for the match against Korea. It really created... No, China. Yeah, China. Sorry. For their match against China, it really created a big opportunity there, because if China had won 1 set, then this might have been completely different throughout this situation. But Lucas Vashina was fantastic as well. 21 points, 19 for 31, 61% positive, 55% efficiency. And as a team, Czechia, that they just rolled with that. 61% hitting as a team with a 49% efficiency. They got 7 blocks and 5 aces. They just absolutely started to roll, and they started to believe in themselves. I mean, they've got 19-year-old Antonin Klimesh out there going 7 for 9 in attack and getting an ace, and he's been a huge part of their run here. You know, it was the same thing. It was the same thing. I lost what I wanted to say, but it doesn't really matter. The story is Czechia did a much better job, I think, of managing their emotions and getting their shots where they needed to. And especially in the third and the fourth, Czechia would create a gap, Iran would close it, and then Czechia would create it again. Iran would close it, and then Czechia would create again. And they just did such a good job at taking advantage of their opportunities. And I mean, that's exactly what they did. You can make the claim that they haven't played as many tough teams, and I mean, sure, that definitely is the claim. They had to play Tunisia in the round of 16. Whoop-de-doo. They lost to their only elite team in Brazil. But hey, all you can do is beat the teams in front of you. And there's a lot of better teams who weren't able to do that. So that's exactly what Czechia did. And now they're in the semifinals for the first time since 1970. Where there was a massive drop to ball, I think, was on the Iranian side. And I think... If I'm Roberto Piazza right now, I'm really, really frustrated, because I don't know actually how much buy-in there is to his system. And it just seems like these Iranian players just lose their head. they make undisciplined plays and undisciplined errors at the worst times. And sometimes it seems like they're more interested in just bouncing balls and hitting the ball really, really hard than actually making for the right play. You know, I just think that sometimes they're more interested in that. Morteza especially, you know, he's one of their guys that should be their go-to, should be their best player. Sorry, as we go through some of these things. And, you know, before he missed that attack, I didn't have the best efficiency, but he was 7 for 15 in attack. He had 9 points in sets 1 and 2 and was leading Iran in scoring. In sets 3 and 4 combined, he was a total 2 and 9. You know, they had to bring in Hasparast, which I thought worked out decently. I don't think he's terrible, but I don't know if he's really that level guy quite yet. He came in off the bench and he was 1 for 6 in attack, hitting a 17% with a 0% efficiency, and then just didn't pass he passed the ball all right, actually, 44% positive with a 33% efficiency. Hajipour up here on your screen was unreal, super good efficiency, and I mean, I thought missing Amin was going to be one of their biggest things, but Hajipour went out there, was 15 for 23 with a 65% efficiency and a 52. He hit a 65% with a 52% efficiency while also getting 3 blocks. But the big thing for me as well is that Iran missed 21 serves. They made 28 errors, unforced errors altogether in this match. Also got aced 5 times, got blocked 7 times. And just, as I said, making bad errors at bad times. They would go on a run and then just absolutely deflate themselves. Just bad net touches at poor times. And this was just so much undisciplined play from Iran, and they really let their emotions get the best of them. And I know they have a very emotional coach. They're very emotional people as it is, but it just really wasn't a great look for Iran in this match. And I thought they wasted a massive opportunity because on paper, you know, Iran is a better team, but I think once again, you're just missing some of that definitiveness in terms of who are your best players. And then you have a guy like Poria, who was really good in attack. He was 15 for 28, and he did get 3 aces, but you know, he made 3 unforced errors in attacking. He missed six serves for a total of 9 errors. Got blocked twice as well. Passed all right too, though. But all of his like one of his errors, I remember just crushing a ball down the line. We had so much room, missing it, and it ended an Iranian run. It's just like they don't have the feel for when they just need to get a point. And it doesn't matter if you hit the ball hard if it's out of bounds, right? That squish factor doesn't increase by that much because I don't think, you know, I think the squish factor, as they call it, is really only used for, like, I think it's the same thing every time. I don't think it actually depends on how hard that ball is hit, but whatever, you can't really disagree with the Bolt 6 calls because we've determined it to be, you know, like, it is what it is, right? And yeah, I just think it was really, really undisciplined by Iran. I thought their middles played fantastic. Youssef was a 6 for 8 in attacking. Mohammed was 7 for 8 in attacking. But I want to see them get a little bit more volume, and especially, like, they're not passing terribly. They're in system over 25% of the time at 28% perfect in serve receive inside out. So I just want to see their system be a little bit more like they could have dominated Czechia down the middle with Klimesh, like a 19-year-old, and Zajac. They just weren't taking those opportunities, and when they needed to, they weren't getting the points, and it was a little disappointing from Iran. But at the same time, Czechia went out there and did everything that they possibly could to be in the semifinals, and they did absolutely that. Now, let's talk about what was the biggest match on this docket, the match that everyone here wants to talk about, and for me, what was the best match of the summer. There is no doubt about it. This was my most favorite match for the summer. If you joined us for the live watch along, thank you very much. It was a lot of fun. And now I continued to say that this match was going to go long. There is, I think, in the like, whether it was the second or the third, I talked about this game was probably going to go 5. My prediction originally was USA in 5. It's funny, for both of these matches, I got the set score right, but not the teams. I called Iran 3-1 and USA 3-2. But this match was the best match of the summer for me anyways, and one of the most entertaining. There's a few things that I want to talk about. The Nikolovs are really creating an incredible legacy for themselves with this tournament run. You know, this may be a defining, when we look back on this, right, maybe in 20 to 30 years, you know, at their end of their careers or later on, this might be a defining moment, or one of the early defining moments of what is hopefully a very long, successful career for both of these guys. But I'm not only going to talk about the Nikolovs because I think it was a massive team effort for Bulgaria. USA dominated early in sets 1 and 2. And now there was 2 parts of that. First of all, their game plan worked really, really well. They dominated down the middle. I think in the first few points, Jędrzejczyk was 3 for 3. Marek was fantastic as well. They were scoring at least 4 points a set in sets 1 through 4 down the middle, including going 5 for 5 in the set number 2. USA was working really, really hard. They established the middle, and then after they established the middle, they were going really, really fast to the outside. Champlin had 6 points in the first. Ewert had 5. And both of them were doing a really good job at just hitting hard off the block and using that late middle blocker, because they needed to really, you know, respect the middle blockers, as Micah had been really establishing, both Jędrzejczyk and Marek McHenry, both of whom I thought played really well, for the record. And then, you know, once the set went outside, they were just playing catch up the entire time. The other half of that is Alex Nikolov played the worst set of volleyball of the tournament, his worst set of volleyball of the summer. In set number 1, Alex Nikolov was 1 for 13. He hit 8% with a -23, and then also got a block and assist. And Simeon Moni was doing absolutely everything he could to get everyone involved and to get everyone some swings. Asparuhov, Antonov, Petkov, and Grozhanov in the middle. But it was just pure domination for USA in set number 1. They took it 25-21, but it wasn't even really that close. In set number 2, it wasn't the offense of Bulgaria that was dragging them down. It was their serving, right? Set number 1, Bulgaria made 8 errors. 5 attacking errors and 3 serving errors. And then at the same time, the USA offense was really cooking nicely, was really doing some good things. In set number 2, it was their serving. Bulgaria made 11 errors in set number 2, just handing USA that set on a silver platter. They made 10 serving errors, but only 1 attacking error did Bulgaria. And Alex Nikolov was much better in set number 2, got those numbers up a little bit. He was 4 for 10 with a 30% efficiency. Okay. The third set is where things started to change. Oh, actually, also big shout out to Marek McHenry in set number 2. I thought he was outstanding. Really good. I think he had 4 points. Really good attacking. He was 3 for 3. And then also got an ace over there. And also Matt Niggy, who was, for some reason, starting. I don't know. We'll talk about that in a little bit when we talk about the U.S. But came in with a lot of energy, was serving aggressive, and got some really big, points. And it was really impressive by the U.S. through 2 sets. Now, in between the second and the third, they did the coach's interview, and the Bulgarian coach said, Card said that this is a really good team. We know that they're going to come back at us. And the Bulgarian assistant coach, I don't know who he is, was saying, we basically need to be better everywhere. But when they came out for set number 3, you could tell it was a little bit different. And that's when the errors changed, and that's when they started limiting their errors. They started making only kind of 2-3 service errors per attack, and only per set, and only a few actual errors per set. And it really changed the momentum of this game. Once they weren't making errors anymore, Bulgaria opened things up and really started to play well. Now, Alex still wasn't at that point. Alex scored 11 points through sets 1 to 3. Same thing in the same thing in set number 3. He was 4 for 8 in attack, hitting a 50%, but only a 25% efficiency, and he continued to struggle. But I think so much credit needs to be given to Ilya Petkov, because he put this team on his back in the third set. The captain really showed up, and was just really, really good for them. He had 6 points. He was 4 for 7 in attack with 2 aces, and really helped put the pedal to the metal for Bulgaria in the third set, and really just showed up there. They were way better at the net. The USA also started to make some errors as well. Had 4 attacking errors, got blocked twice. And the US, because, I mean, they were kind of struggling to score. In set number 3, only 35% attacking with a 12% efficiency. And, like, Petkov emotionally got his team back into this match. Emotionally put his team on his back and showed them the way. And this is also when they brought in Georgi Tatarov. And I see a bunch of people in the chat saying that there's going to be Tatarov glazing. I don't think there's going to be glazing because the reality is after, like, I mean, at one point, it was like 25-15 or 24-15 for Bulgaria in set number 3. And you could tell that that momentum was changing for them. You could tell that they were starting to be able to get it done. I just found that at this point, the USA was really struggling to score. And a lot of it, to me, comes down to Gabby Garcia. I mean, he only had 9 points for this match. He was 6 for 30. With 2 aces and a block. It's not even like he was good early. Like, he was bad and Alex were bad both in the first set. Garcia was 1 for 9, hitting 11% with a minus 22% efficiency. And he got 1 of his 2 aces and his only block in the first set. And then other than that, just kind of fell away. And this is, to me, where the American offense started to fall apart, where they started to put a little bit more pressure on the outsides. And the guys really, like, they really started to not be as good. I think mostly Jordan Ewart. You know, Ewart had 5 points in the first set and then ended with only 15. And this is really when the Bulgarian machine started going. And then in the fourth set, we got the Alex Nikolov show. We got one of the best performances I've seen in so long, because that fourth set was so tight. It was back and forth. It was point for point, going toe to toe. We saw so many lead changes in that fourth set, but Alex Nikolov, after being absolute garbage throughout the first few sets, right? He was a total in attack of 11 for like what, 21? No, 31. And like 11 for 31 throughout the first 3 sets. And then in set number 4, we have something that, like, you know what, if we had 30 for 30 in volleyball, people will look back on it. He went 11 for 17, hitting a 69% and a 59% efficiency. And he did miss his second shot, just trying to be really aggressive on the cross court. He tried to go 4-4 and just missed that sideline. And I even said in the watch along that, like, he looks different in this set. He looks like he's out there to play. He looks like he's out there to ball. Like, that was an aggressive hit, and his immediate reaction wasn't solemn, wasn't head down. It was immediately like, give me the ball more. And that's all that they did. They just fed him the ball, and then he was challenging the block. He was hitting it off elbows. He was hitting off of high hands. They were just doing everything they could. Like, US was doing everything they could to shut him down, and they absolutely could not. That was one of the best performances in a set I've ever seen. Like, we've seen a lot of 10-point sets, not a lot, but quite a few 10-point sets here in this World Championships. And I think that was the best set by anyone in this match. And even though, like, the US played one of their best sets as well, Ethan Champlin was fantastic. He was 7 for 9 in attack with no errors as well. And still, Bulgaria was able to pull it through. And it was just a really big team effort all throughout. This is where, you know, I thought Georgi Tatarov, who came in for Martin Atanasov in that third set, really started to show up. Overall, he had 7 points. He was 6 for 12 in attack with a block, but also had no miss serves. So he just really went out there and did a good job of keeping that pressure on and just keeping that ball in play for Bulgaria. And it was so important. And this is also really when they started going at Jordan Ewart as well too. And that's really when his play started to go down. His passing over the course of the match was okay. He was 41% positive, but only 0% perfect. He did not pass one ball in system for the U.S. on 27 targets, and then his offense started to struggle quite a bit as well. And then in the fifth, it was the Nikolov show. It was the absolute Nikolov show, as someone put in this the chat, that, you know, the first points of, like, halfway through the set, the first points were all done by either Moni or Alex. Alex ended the third set with 7 points. He was 6 for 13 with an ace, and it was like I won't lie, like, you could tell that Bulgaria had a bit of momentum. There was a couple of plays, like, I don't know if it was in the fourth or the fifth, but where Moni and Petkov or Grozhanov both went for a ball to set a second ball, and they bumped into each other and it popped over into the pot. There was that one transition play in the fifth where Garcia backed up into Micah Christensen and they both fell down and the ball fell. There was a lot of situations that, like, the bounces were going Bulgaria's way, but you could tell that they just had the belief. They just had that belief. And then once again, you know, much like the Czechia situation where there's a hierarchy, there's very clearly a hierarchy when you're looking at this Bulgarian team, right? There's very clear, like, a guy that, like, hey, when we are in our gut check time, when we need to get the win, we're giving that ball to Alex. And they just didn't have the same thing on the USA side. And I said it before that this American team this year reminds me a lot of, like, the 2020, 2021 the Modena team that Michael Christensen played on with Jeremia Grepenikov, and they just had no options in terms of scoring. And that's kind of what this one felt as well too, because you're trying to score by committee and you're giving Gabby Garcia, who scored 2 of his 9 points in the fifth set, but was still only 2 for 6, like the first ball out of the first set. Why aren't you giving that ball to Ethan Champlin? That was my big question, right? That first set of the game goes to Garcia, and right away Bulgaria is able to get a steal. And why aren't you going to Ethan Champlin, who just went 7 for 9 for you in attack? It was very clear that there was no hierarchy in terms of that American scoring, and that's fine when you've got DeFalco and Russell and Anderson out there, or even Jashki out there on your outsides. But it's not as good when you have Ewert who's struggling, Garcia who's struggling, and you're not passing the ball well enough to be able to use either McHenry or Jendrik down the middle, right? They only got 1 point down the middle in set number or maybe 2, doesn't really matter, in set number 3 or 5, sorry, for the US. But on the other side, Alex was absolutely determined to win this match, and absolutely, like, he was King Midas after that. Once again, he had 11 points through sets 1 to 3, 18 points, 11 points in the fourth, 7 points in a shortened fifth to absolutely dominate for this match. And once again, didn't really go to the stats. We can look at the stats here, although they're pretty comparable throughout. Bulgaria, a little bit of the edge in the serve and block overall. And I just thought that it was an incredible show of belief by this Bulgarian team to be 2 sets down, to have, you know, Petkov pull you up out of the gutters, and then to have Alex go off in an absolutely legendary way like that. It was so epic the way he played. He was so clutch. It was so good to watch. And then on the other side, it does leave some questions. Like, why did Karch leave in Gabby Garcia? Right? You have Ensing on the right side, and Ensing has been there. You know, we saw that what he was able to do this year against Forsevierci in the playoffs when Buchrin went down. And it was like, and if you don't trust Ensing, which you haven't really gone to him at all, why not Cooper Robinson? Why not, like, you're throwing him in on the left side for the block? Why not throw him in there just to be out there to block Alex? This is like Gabby Garcia had 1 block and only 2 touches, and he was getting torched. The US was getting absolutely torched on the left side in sets 4 and 5, the sets that they really needed to win, and there was no adjustments made whatsoever to try to shut him down. And then also, why do you continue to go back to Garcia? And I think overall it's really too bad for Garcia, because he was outstanding and he was that guy against Slovenia, and then he completely disappears in a bigger match against Bulgaria. And You know, I think there's a lot of questions right now that, like, is he the guy to take over from Matt Anderson after 2028? Like, is he the guy to be the second guy out there? I really don't know. I really don't know. And especially like that scoring by committee, it works well until you need to win the match. And I think it was just really too bad for the U.S. Obviously, they're missing a lot of veterans. And I think other than Champlin, who I thought was really strong, I'm not entirely sure. Like Ewert struggled down the stretch, Garcia struggled down the stretch, even Micah struggled down the stretch a little bit. You know, there's a lot of people in the Discord who call him a choker. I would never go to say that far. However, like, that is a big question mark. Like, why couldn't he pick a guy to just go to? Why couldn't he pick a guy to be their guy? And it was really tough overall to watch if you were an American fan, but a lot of fun to watch if you were the Bulgarian fan. I mean, the drama of the end of that set, they're up 14-11, you know, they get a block, they lose it technically at 15, like 15-12. Then there's that whole reach over situation and they got the ball back for 14-13. Like, there was just so many crazy moments in that match, and it really felt like Bulgaria was playing into the match well. Obviously, you know, I talked about Nikolov here and his points. I thought that Asparuhov was really one of the unsung heroes in this match. He had 12 points. He was 10 for 20 in attack, hitting 50% with a 50% with a 45% efficiency. He also got 2 blocks. Led the team with a match high 15 digs in this one. And then, like, we have to talk about Moni. Like, we have to talk about the 18-year-old who's out there just balling out, and we have to talk about his growth from the VNL until now. And I thought that he managed so many things in this match so well. He managed his emotions, he managed his team's emotions, he managed that offense, right? Understanding in that first set that, hey, Alex isn't my guy right now. Alex isn't getting it done. I need to find gaps for my other guys. I need to get options away from my other guys. Like, I need to use my second ball abilities sparingly in specific situations, but then I also need to use that to bait their attackers. And that's exactly what we saw on a number of occasions. We saw him go up, and in free ball situations, he lines up on the attack line. He's not waiting in 2.5 like every other setter in the world. He's lining up on the attack line, and he runs in, pretends to hit it, so he's freezing the middle, he's freezing that outside attacker, and then dishing the ball wherever he needs to. You know, if you look at how the middles were hitting, they were combined 13 for 18 down the middle for Bulgaria. Petkov was 8 for 11. Grozanov was 5 for 7. Neither of them got made any errors. Neither of them got blocked at all. And I talked about that blocking matchup in the middle a little bit in my preview, and I think it came down so well to for Bulgaria in this one. They were so strong down the middle, and Semyon Nikolov does such a good job at understanding the flow of the game and understanding when to do what. And that's such an innate skill that it can't really be taught. It can be refined, I think, for sure. But his baseline ability to just feel the game is really incredible, is really, really special. But on top of that, his delivery is way better. His decision making is way better. His attacking is really good too. Like, there's so many areas in which Nikolov just impresses me when he's out there. Like, he doesn't look like an 18-year-old. He doesn't look like a guy who, as a rookie, set Long Beach to an NCAA champion. Like, he doesn't look like that guy at all. He was 2 for 8 in attack, which wasn't great with a block and 2 aces. But at the same time, it like he is him. Like, if you have been doubting Semyon Nikolov at all, if you're still doubting him now, you're an idiot. If you are still doubting Semyon Nikolov now, you are an absolute idiot. That was a legacy building match for both Moni and Alex and this entire Bulgarian team. You know, I thought that USA would have had the edge with Karch coaching them. And once again, I don't think Karch coached a bad game. I think there were certain decisions that maybe we can question, but ultimately we don't know his decision making. But I think for sure we can say that Blengini coached a really good game for Bulgaria. And even after this match, you know, Petkov is crying and the boys are celebrating. And he has, boys, we didn't come here to be at this point. We didn't come here to win a quarterfinal. We came here to win a medal. We came here to win a gold medal, right? And just reminding them that, hey, this is great, but our long-term goal is still out there, and we need to still get that job, get that job done. Okay, so overall, just a fantastic match by Team US or by Bulgaria. Not so much of a great match by Team USA. Once again, I do give a big shout out to Ethan Champlin. I thought that he was the best player out there. He was their top scorer. He was 16 for 30, got 17 points with a block out there. He hit 53% with a 40% efficiency, the highest of all of the outsides. And I thought he really did a good job. And, you know, people can accuse me of glazing Moni, but I have said it before and I'll say it again. I've only ever seen one other setter with this much aura at this age, and that is Michael Christensen. You know, Moni does things that are absolutely incredible. And the fact that this team has been able to get to this point, and once again, like, this is a team that beat Slovenia and beat Germany, now has beat the US, and you can say whatever you want about all of these, all of those matches, but once again, Bulgaria has taken advantage of it, and them and Poland are the only two undefeated teams in this tournament, right? That's the only way to say it. I thought this man has been absolutely elite. Alex Nikolov has been unreal. And I continued to say it too during the watch along, that, like, I thought it was actually a good position for Bulgaria, the way that they were playing with the errors that they were making, and Alex being as dog shit as he was through, you know, especially that first set. The beginning of the second set, he was terrible, and he started heating up at the end of it, was getting better in the third, and then they just had that belief all the way through, and it was really impressive to watch. Congratulations, Bulgaria. Your fans, you should be proud of it. You should be proud of your team. You should be proud of your coach. They've come so long from the VNL, and they definitely deserve that spot in the semifinals. They have been undefeated so far. Now, moving on to what we have to see throughout the rest of this match. And the rest of this this tournament, we are down to the final two matches. We only have 4 matches left, and then we have one semifinal that everyone was expecting, and then we have one semifinal that no one was expecting. Right? On one side of the bracket, you have Poland versus Italy, and the other side of the bracket, you have Bulgaria versus Czechia. Now we're going to preview Bulgaria versus Czechia first because, well, it's going to be the first game. More than likely, like, there's no doubt, as big as Bulgaria is, there is no doubt that Volleyball World is going to put that Italy-Poland match in the primetime match. That's two of their biggest supporting sections. Like, that's two of their biggest markets, especially Poland. Like, Poland and the Polstat money out there, like, it's definitely going to be in prime time. So it's a better time in Europe. So breaking down this match number 1, this is not really a matchup that we've seen quite a bit. Like, the last one that we have to go to is a 3-2 win for Bulgaria at the 2021 European Championship. So not even the most recent European Championships. Bulgaria hasn't been to the semifinals since 2010. Where they finished bronze, where they finished with bronze, and then Czechia hasn't been to the semifinals since 1970, a tournament that was hosted in Bulgaria, funnily enough. But I do think that this is going to be a really interesting matchup. And, you know, everyone on the Bulgaria train, I'm sure, is just looking past Czechia right now. And I've seen so many people like, Bulgaria's going to get a medal, Bulgaria's going to get gold, and they have to get past Czechia first. And I think that while Czechia does not have the pedigree that the US does, they do have that organization, and they do have the understanding of whose role is who. You have an elite scorer in Patrick Indra, and, you know, to me, there's been 3 elite scorers in this tournament. There's been Moni Nikolov, there's been Ferry Regers, and there's been Patrick Indra. And Indra is continuing on what has been a massive breakout campaign for him, both in the Plus Liga this past season with Częstochowa, with Norwid Częstochowa, and then also now at this World Championships. Like, he can score at such a high clip and do it in so many different situations. He doesn't need good balls. He can hit out of system, right? So you're going to see two of the best scorers right now in volleyball going toe to toe with an overall roster and like full teams that understand each other. Now, I do think that that the coaching advantage does go to Bulgaria as well, and Blankini and everything he's going to do. But I think that matchup down the middle is going to be key. Can Klimesh, only 19 years old, and Zajek keep up with Petkov and Grozdanov? And I'm not entirely sure. It's going to have to be a really big battle for Czechia. Obviously, this one is all like all the advantage to Bulgaria. I think you have to. But can Bulgaria keep their heads and not look too far ahead? Can they remember that this is a game that they absolutely, like, if you win, you're not playing for gold. You don't guarantee yourself a medal, right? But also, the shine of what you've done in this tournament goes away if you can't go out there and beat Czechia in this one. And Czechia is going to want it, right? We saw how they turned things around against Iran, right? This is a team that, once again, knows how to play ball. And I think Lukasz Vashina as well, too, is so underrated and how he plays. And, you know, I know there's some questions about him when he plays for Resovia and stuff like that, but Lukasz Vashina has been really, really good. And to me, he is the, Indra is the tip of the sword. Vashina is the hilt, right? Vashina is everything else. He really, really manages that team so well. He manages their emotions so well. He manages the ups and downs. He's so solid for them inside out. He's really, really good for them. He hit a couple of nasty 4-to-4 shots. Like, he is just such a good leader for this team. And, you know, they're a little bit older, right? This Czech team is a little bit older than the youngest team in the tournament on the other side in Bulgaria. Now, I think that obviously Bulgaria has the firepower. They have the roster. We're now seeing the depth with guys like Tatarov coming out. And I think that, you know, Asparuhov and Antonov have been fantastic throughout the tournament. You know, Grozdanov and Petkov down the middle have been ridiculous. I haven't really talked about Kolev at all, but he was super strong and took up so much of their of serve receive too. I'm not entirely sure why USA was going after him as much as they were, but I mean, that's neither here nor there anymore. So this Bulgarian team is going to have to show up and really be their best. I almost expect, like, if Czechia can come out rolling, I almost expect Czechia to win the first set, just because I know how deadly they are. And they've also got a little bit of a bench too, right? Like, you can bring in a guy like Marek Shotala, who's done it at the club level and has played in Champions League and all of these things. So I think that this matchup is way more interesting than some people think it's going to be. I think a lot of people are already penciling in Bulgaria into the final, and I don't think that's the case at all, right? Bulgaria has to take care of business, no doubt about it. And even if they go out there and play their best game, Czechia has the ability to run with them no matter what. Especially with Patrick Indra there. I think what we saw from him throughout the Plus Liga season, once again, he was the best scorer in the Plus Liga. A lot of people, you know, we did our Plus Liga preview with Adnos last year, and he thought the Norwid was going to be battling for relegation. Instead, they, you know, qualified as one of the top 16s for the Polish Cup, and then went to the playoffs for the first time, despite having to use 3 different setters throughout the year, including like a 40-something-year-old Lucas Gigaldo, right? And still Indra was averaging over 6 points a set. So I think that Indra has the ability to not win this game on his own, but Indra has the ability to be an Alex Nikolov and to do what can we do against him. And I think that matchup, especially since the two of them are going to be right in front of each other, is going to be very, very interesting, and I cannot wait to watch the replay. Actually, I'll probably watch that one live, but my sobriety will be in question, no doubt about it. And then finally, we'll move on to what everyone was expecting to be the final, the two best teams in volleyball, bar none, Italy and Poland. And I don't really need to go over the history between these two teams and how many times they've met in recent years. If you're watching this, you probably already know it. You know about their history in the VNL final this year. You know about their history at the Olympics. You know about their history in European championships and at World Championships. These are the only two teams to have won any World Championships in the past 12 years, right? Poland won 14, 18. Italy won in 2022, right? This is the actual final. And I'm going to say this, and I know might upset some people, but I do think that this is Poland's match to lose. I think that this is Poland's match to lose. And Gerbic has been talking about it all tournament long, that, you know, his message continually to his team is that I want to make teams beat us. You know, I don't want to go out there and beat ourselves. And, you know, when they've lost some sets or played a little bit lesser, in my opinion, it's just been because Poland hasn't been able to keep up their own consistency on their own side and haven't really been able to play to their own level at all times. Now, if they try to get into this execution game against Italy, I think they'll lose, right? If they try to be tight and exact, just like Italy is, then they're going to lose. They need to just rely on their talent and rely on the fact that, they just need to keep the ball moving and in front of them. They need to play some defense, that Italy is going to get theirs, and that they just need to use their overall talent at all times. They need to use the breadth of their offense. They can't, unless Leon is having an all-time match and he goes into one of those Leon modes, they need to use Kurek. They are going to need to use Semeniuk, especially coming through the pipe. And I think that middle of the court is going to be where a big battleground and a big chess match is going to happen, because I think the biggest mismatch for me is down the middle with Kokanovsky and Huber up against Russo and Gargiulo or Anzani or Galassi, whoever it is. I think that in that area is where so much is going to be opened up, right? Because if Poland, obviously passing is a little bit of an issue. Once again, they're only in 9%. They're only in system 9% of the time off of serve receive against Czechia, right? This isn't Italy, who just had bullied their past two opponents in Argentina and in Belgium from the baseline and up the blocking situation. So if Italy is serving as tough as they expect them to be, Poland needs to keep their head about them and just keep that ball in play, not try to do too much. And I think that then they're going to have more than enough chance to be able to continuing putting pressure and continuing to just beat Italy with their talent. Because I think that other than Micheletto and like Gianelli, player per player, Poland is slightly better. Not exceptionally. Balasso too. I would take Balasso over Papivchuk, but I think there's going to be a few things for Italy. First and foremost, they need to put Poland under pressure with their serve and block. There's no doubt about that. I just talked about that. Number two, they need to take Komenda off the net to try to mitigate Kokanovsky and Huber. If you can take those guys off the net and force Italy to go to an outside game, and you can let your middles really open things up. Sorry, no, yeah. I got mixed up there. If they take Komenda off the net and take out Kokanovsky and Huber and let their middles start to cheat and take that space away from a Leon, from a Semeniuk, from a Bartosz Kurek, then they're going to have a much better chance to be in there. So there's that right there. Micheletto needs to be the best player on the court. Right, we haven't really seen it from him in this tournament, and it's been a little while since we've seen him at that elite level. I just think that Micheletto needs to be the best player on the court. We call him the unicorn for a reason. To be honest, I started that, or we started that in the Discord. I'm not going to take credit for that, but Discord started that, and Key Michael has gotten it out there as well too. We love you, Key. But Micheletto needs to be the best player on the court. He needs to be the best player in serve receive. He needs to be the best player in block, especially with Kurek in front of him. And he needs to be the best player in attack. He needs to have a high efficiency in this game. He can't just be loafing through, as we've kind of seen him to do throughout this tournament. Now, he has that ability. I've called him the best player in volleyball for a reason, and I truly think he is, but we haven't seen it yet. Okay? Micheletto needs to be the best player on the court. Gianelli needs to be in a Gianelli mode when he's winning. not in the Gianelli mode that we saw last year at the Olympics, where he is whining. He needs to deliver that ball perfectly, and they need to use their entire roster, but also get Micheletto going, get him moving around, get him different looks, because you know he's going to have a lot of hands in front of him throughout this game. But then Gianelli also needs to be good from the baseline, and then also needs to be good in attacking as well too. A lot of volume is going to go out to the left side for Poland with Leon and Semeniuk. A lot of volume is going to go out there. So if Gianelli can be a factor in this game, I think Italy has a much better chance. And then I think one of the factors that we don't really talk about is Yuri Romano. And when you look back to the 2021 European Championship or the 2022 World Championship, in both of those matches, Yuri Romano came up huge, both from the baseline and in attacking. I think that he is a big game player, right? He is really one of those guys that when he's under the most stress, like he was fantastic last year at the Olympics, right? When the stakes are the highest, I think Romano is the best. And there's going to be no higher stakes in this tournament for this team than right now against Poland. Especially the way that Italy played and just got absolutely donged in the last VNL final. Now, I think this is going to be a different team, especially now that you don't have Lavia out there. Lavia was arguably their best player in that VNL final. I do think that Bottolo's been fantastic, but Bottolo is going to be a big question mark. And I don't think Bottolo is necessarily going to be able to win the game for Italy, but I do think that he could potentially lose the game. Potentially. Also, I'm sorry, all these people saying that Fornal will be 100% playing and Semeniuk is going to be on the bench, I don't agree at all. Semeniuk has been one of the steadiest, if not the steadiest player for Poland in this tournament. And I think it's a really big gamble for Poland to have Fornal and Leon out there. I really think that Fornal is outstanding. He is a top 5 outside in the world, no doubt about it. But him and Leon are both P1s, right? Him and Leon are both P1s who want the ball and need the ball to play well. Semeniuk can play that supporting role, and he does it really well. Semeniuk is a fantastic passer. He's a really strong server, and he can hit that pipe really well. And I just think that in a match like this, he's going to be able to keep his head a little bit better. I think that Semeniuk absolutely needs to start, and it would be absolutely foolish, right? Only someone who thinks of sports as a video game would go in and take Semeniuk out at this point with the continuity that he's seen. Now, I'm not saying we won't see Fornal and Leon. If things start going bad for Poland, right, you're going to go to Fornal way before you go to Arthur Szalpuk. No doubt about that, right? Depending on if Kurek's bad, like we may even see Kevin Sasak. I don't think we're going to see Jan Furle at all, or Kupchak or any of the other middle guys. But, you know, it would be, if you don't start Semeniuk, I think you're opening yourself up to a world of hurt and a world of criticism, right? Because if you start Fornal and Fornal doesn't if you start Semeniuk and it doesn't go well, no one's going to question it because of what he's done up until now. Not to mention his accolades, you know, everywhere else, what he's been able to do, what he did with Zaxa when they were winning Champions League, you know, winning a Scudetto with Perugia 2 seasons ago, winning the Champions League this past season, right? Semeniuk needs to be their guy off the bat, but I will think that we will probably see for now maybe even like a serving sub position at some point throughout this one. I have to say I'm really excited for it. I will ultimately probably miss this match just because, if you're not aware, I'm going to a wedding tomorrow night. 2 of my best friends are getting married, and now I may be able to watch Czechia versus Bulgaria because it's going to be at 3:30 in the morning, and I will be still reveling, let's say, celebrating my 2 best friends. Congratulations, Matt and Bree. But that 8 a.m. match might be a little difficult, especially because I'll be sharing a hotel room with Sam, my partner. So doing a watch along will be very difficult for me, unfortunately. But I will be doing a watch along for the finals, and ultimately, I think this like my pick is Poland. I think Poland is going to be able to win this match 3-1. I don't know if I gave my pick for Bulgaria, but I think Bulgaria is also going to win 3-1. I think Poland will win 3-1. Bulgaria will win 3-1. Maybe 3-2 for Poland if Italy can actually push them a little bit. But I also think that Italy has the opportunity to win this match. Like, if I'm voting for Poland, it's like 65-35 in favor of Poland, maybe a little bit less, maybe like 60-40. These are the two best teams in the world. It's too bad that Italy doesn't have Lavia for a little bit of depth. I would like to see FIVB make some subs down the stretch, but I don't know if we'll see that. Like, will we see a double sub with Spertoli and Rychlicki? Who knows? Probably not. We haven't really seen it throughout this tournament. Maybe we'll see Luca Porro in. Like, I expect Poland to put a lot of pressure on Mattia Botolo in serve receive especially. And you know what? I think this is going to be a bit of a career-defining match for Mattia Botolo, right? I talked about it all year long. Like, Botolo looked better than Lavia in the Superlega this year. What Botolo did for Lube was fantastic. But still, they continue to go back to Lavia at the VNL. And this is a really big chance for Mattia Botolo to go out there and prove that he can play amongst the best in the world. Because Lavia was front and center for this Italian team, both in 2021 and both in 2022, when they won the European Championships and the World Championships. So regardless of which way you cut it, I think that this match is going to be really exciting, really fantastic, and I'm really excited for it. My bet, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, because I would just get way too addicted to the thrill of it, and I hate losing money like that. I would probably bet on Poland, but I wouldn't bet on set scores because I think that it would be way too dangerous and there's too much volatility in this match. Okay. Well, I think that wraps it up for this episode here. If you have any questions in the chat, ask them right now. And yeah, I appreciate everyone who has been watching along throughout this journey. We've only got a few, I guess, episodes left. Once again, no live stream for the Italy, for either of the semifinals. I may come live on Saturday to do a bit of preview for the finals, but we'll have to see. Depends on how I feel and how much I'm watching. But you will definitely see me live for the watch along at 8 a.m. Eastern time for the finals. Whoever that may be against. Okay. Appreciate you all watching. Kurek is old. Kurek is really, really old. Czechia channel on the Discord. Honestly, yeah. Like we've given some other countries a channel in Discord, and I think we definitely need a Czech channel on the Discord. I've actually watched Czech volleyball now for quite a time, especially in their league, because they have a lot of Canadians in their league, and yeah, I'm really excited for them to be able to make it here. I'm excited for Bulgaria, and then I'm excited for another matchup of Italy versus Poland. Okay, thank you everyone. Appreciate you all. Love you all. I hope you have. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you enjoy the matches, and I will see you soon. Grazie, danke, obrigado. What's thank you in Polish? I guess I'll have to tell me another time. But thank you, everyone. I love you all. Have a good one, and we will see you soon. Bye.